Okay, I'm sorry, it's not loading. So if someone can go check whether it's live on Facebook.
Not yet from my side.
Because okay, now it's live on Facebook.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
And we are live. There's attendees who can listen to us now. So whenever we're ready, we can get started.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll get started in a few minutes. As everyone's coming in, I'll pass over to my wonderful colleague, Purnima, who will start us off today.
Okay, may I start now? Be wild, be a child, jump, play, and take a ride. It's a mild ride, keep your phone aside, give the kids your precious time. Give them wings, let them soar, as little they won't be for very long. Have fun, enjoy their day, let them have it their way. Happy Children's Day, happy Children's Day. Hello everyone, Namaskar. I'm Purnima from Nepal and I am one of the child advisor of hashtag COVID-19 initiative. I, along with hashtag COVID-19 child advisor Jessis, Pyramid Splendor and Laura from IICRD will be moderating this event today. Firstly, I would like to extend a warm welcome to you all for joining Children Leading the Future, a child and youth-led celebration of World Children's Day 2022. This event is organized by children and young people are involved in COVID-19 initiative with the support of adults. We hope you all will enjoy this event. As we all know that people below 18 are recognized as children. The human rights of children with particular attention to the rights of special protection and care, including their right to association with both parents, human identity, as well as the basic needs for food, education, healthcare, and to be protected from abuse and harm is known as child rights. Child rights ensure children a bright future, providing them with all required facilities and rights. Moving forward, we are here today to mark the special occasion of World Children's Day 2022, which is globally celebrated on 20th of November each year to promote international togetherness, awareness among children worldwide, and the improvement of children's welfare. This year's report of the special representative of the Secretary General on violence against children argues that there is increasing evidence to indicate a strong connection between climate change and violence against children. We therefore want to highlight the causes and effects of the climate crisis on the lives of children through this event. So without any further delay, I would like to introduce my co-host Jessis. Over to you, Jessis.
Oh, well, thank you, Purnima. That was great. Hello, everyone. Namaskar. I'm Jessis, a child rights activist and COVID-19 initiative child advisor from Nepal. I am one of your hosts for today's event. I'm very glad and very happy to get connected to many people from all over the globe. Over to you, Splendor.
Hi, everyone. It's really a pleasure to meet all of you today. I'm so excited about this. My name is Splendor. I'm from Nigeria. I'm a peer mentor for COVID-19, and I'm the founder of Communities Will Connect. And it's really nice meeting all of you once more. I'll be passing it over to Laura. Laura, over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Splendor. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura. I'm from Canada, and I'm representing the International Institute for Children's Rights and Development and work with the University of Edinburgh. I will provide a bit of a housekeeping overview as we get ourselves started. This event is being live streamed on Facebook and being recorded. You can have the opportunity to check in on it later. If you have questions throughout the session, please put them in a question and answer, and we will try to address them here or follow up with you. We will also share the different social media handles. Before we get started, it's quite important to also check in on child safeguarding and how we're working together to keep children and young people safe throughout this webinar. My wonderful colleague Kristen will be displaying it on our screen so you can all see the child safeguarding protocol we have for this session. Great. So what is child safeguarding? We define a child as anyone under the age of 18 as aligned with the UNCRC. And we want to ensure that organizations who work with children, including all organizations that are hosting this event, as you can see along the top, have a responsibility to make sure that children who participate in their events and activities are safe from harm. Unfortunately, as we know, online and offline, there's always a risk of harm. So we are asking all participants in the event to make a pledge to keep everyone safe and make our time together fun, supportive, and inclusive for all children around the world, online today and offline, who will join us in future events. The organizers will remove anyone from the meeting who is not respecting the pledge or who is acting in any way that harms children. And it is important that we all know that it is not your fault if someone hurts you, and we will follow up, provide support. Next slide, please. Our safeguarding focal points for this event are Maria Bray and Kristen Hope, and they can give you a little wave. If you have any concerns, please send them a message. Just to highlight that our pledge to keep children safe, we're really looking at treating others with respect and dignity, treating everyone equally, choosing user-friendly language, listening to others, encouraging people to only participate if you choose to, when you want to ask questions or not, to stay safe online. And if you feel hurt or see another child being hurt or experience anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, please inform us all immediately. So thank you all for working together to make this a supportive, safe space where we can all listen, learn, and engage together. I will pass it back over to Splendor to begin to introduce some of the bios and the agenda for the day.
Thank you, Laura. So today we have amazing people with us on the Zoom room. And we want to first welcome Sophie. She's the Director of Operation from Autism Foundation. And Professor Philip is a member of the United Nations Committee on the Rights of the Child. And he works at the Center for Children's Rights Studies at University of Geneva. So they'll be we want to start first with Sophie, who will be giving us her welcome remarks. Sophie, please, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, dear children, dear young people, dear colleagues from civil society organizations around the world, dear distinguished guests, it is a real honor and a privilege for me to welcome you all to today's events, where we gather together to celebrate Universal Children's Day that will take place, as mentioned, this Sunday on 20th November, to mark the dawn of the Convention of the Rights of the Child. Today's event is the result of several weeks of hard work inside the COVID-19 initiative, which is an intergenerational partnership between children, young people, and adults to advocate for children's rights in the post-pandemic world. In 2020, Autism initiated COVID-19 as a broad-based partnership by mobilizing a group of young people, child rights activists, civil society organizations, and UN stakeholders. The initiative set out to understand children's views and experiences about life under COVID, and with academic partner Queen's University Belfast and over 30 civil society organizations, launched a larger global participatory survey of children's rights during the height of the pandemic, with over 26,000 children from over 100 countries sharing their views and concerns. From the past 2 years, COVID-19 has harnessed this data and maintains the partnership to amplify children's voices, to inform and raise the attention of policymakers, professionals working with children, and government. Today, on the occasion of World Children's Day 2022, we continue this work together. On behalf of Terre des Hommes, I would like to sincerely thank the partners who have supported our event today. Child Rights Connect, Child Fund Alliance, the Learning for Wellbeing Foundation, the International Institute of Child Rights and Development, represented here by Laura Wright, and International Young Catholic Students, represented today by Benson Makusha. I would like also to extend my thanks to guest speakers, Kirsty Shakespeare from the Trust for Sustainable Living, and to a dear friend to Terre des Hommes, Professor Philippe Jaffé from the University of Geneva and member of the Committee of the Rights of the Child. I also would like to thank my colleagues from Terre des Hommes, in particular, Kristen Hope and Maria Bray. I would like to express appreciation to all the organizations who have supported our open letter to the United Nations Secretary General, which will be presented at the end of today's event, but if I understood, actually it was already sent, and I really cross the fingers. But this event will be nothing without the brilliant team of children and young people who have been working so hard to make this happen. Here is Brian, Drov, Leona, Osish, Sirun, Yeshis, Purmina, with the beautiful song, Ali, Amrit, and Splendor, and all the other children and young peer mentors supporting them in the background. Today is your day, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. In closing, I would like to share my personal message to all of you, all of the children gathered here today to celebrate World Children's Day with us. Defending the children's right is not only an obligation, it is a constant responsibility and duty that has to remain at the center of our attention and actions. Impacting changes in a sustainable way has and requires to influence the influencers. And to do so, we need to be all generations together. You are a key actor in these debates and in the decision-making processes. So I thank you for your commitment and dedication on a daily basis, but in particular in today's event. Your energy, your vibes are essential to bring positive changes. We are stronger when being together. So I wish you a wonderful day and thank you very much. Merci.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And yeah, please, as earlier stated, if you have any question, the Q&A section is there. Please put in your questions and we'll answer. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. Now is the time. We are moving over to hear the keynote speaker, Professor Philip. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Splendor, and thank you, Sophie, for your kind words and overall thanks. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. A real privilege to be with you. And before going any further, greetings from the Committee on the Rights of the Child. As you all know, we're meeting today to celebrate World Children's Day. And Sunday marks 33 years since the UN General Assembly adopted the Convention on the Rights of the Child. And two words stick out, 33 and celebrate. When you are 33 years old, the same age as the convention, you're already an adult. But many 33-year-old people I know are well on their way to being out of sync with the lives and aspirations of the children of the present. We are dealing with a rather old convention, and I hope that you, the young people, the children, I hope you're up to the challenge to make it breathe and spit fire for the coming years. Then there was the word celebrate. Of course, we need to celebrate World Children's Day, but surely, like me, you think that we should celebrate children every day, because every day of the year, every child is precious and counts. And governments and all of us should make sure that at all times, all children are included as valuable members of society. Maybe I'm asking for too much, but I believe that what I just said, and my guess is that many of you do as well. We need to celebrate as if our life depended on it. But what about today, November 18? Did you know that today is the World Day for the Prevention of and Healing from Child Sexual Exploitation, Abuse, and Violence? And as I put it in a tweet this morning, what more is there to say? Let's prevent and heal from child sexual exploitation, abuse, and violence. Oh, and by the way, tomorrow, on November 19, we are celebrating World Toilet Day. And you all know that inadequate sanitation systems spread human waste into rivers, lakes, and pollute underground water resources. And this affects the drinking water of hundreds of millions of people around the world. In fact, every day, every single day, more than 800 children under the age of 5 die from diarrhea linked to unsafe water and sanitation. As we celebrate, and as I speak, we all know that humanity is crossing key boundaries in the Earth's natural system, including climate change, biodiversity loss, and increasing levels of pollution in the air, soil, water, and oceans. And as these boundaries are breached, so too is the delicate natural balance that human civilization has depended on until now to grow and thrive. And as a result, the climate crisis is creating a child rights crisis. It is creating a water crisis, a health crisis, an education crisis, a protection crisis, and a participation crisis, and I'll come back to that. The impacts of climate change are regressive, meaning that they impact those who are the least resilient the hardest. And while all children are exceptionally vulnerable to climate change, children with disabilities, children on the move, children living in poverty, children separated from their family, and the youngest are most at risk. And let us not forget another critical period of life is also one of the most vulnerable, pre-birth during the gestational period in the mother's womb. As you know, the Committee on the Rights of the Child, with its external partners, in particular Terre des Hommes, we put out for consultation the draft of the new General Comment 26 on children's rights and the environment. And I hope you will all take part in the consultation, children and young people, civil society organizations. And if you read the draft, you will notice that we don't speak about the pre-birth gestational period as a critical moment for maximum protection. And this is because the Convention on the Rights of the Child only deals with children from the day they are born until they turn 18. Let us know that this gap must be filled. And I am sure that you will find other points that must be revised and completed. Bring it on, give us some feedback. The general comment is, in my view, unequivocal on a couple of points. Let me quote. The committee recognizes the principle of intergenerational equity and the interests of future generations. And also, discussions of future generations should take into account the rights of children who are already present on this planet and those that are constantly arriving. And I'm really proud of this position because when the committee started working on the general comments, there was a bit of resistance because future generations is a weak concept, so say my jurist friends. But most importantly, child participation. And this is a story of today. Let me quote the draft once more. Children's views should be considered in the design and implementation of measures aimed at addressing the significant and long-term environmental challenges that are fundamentally shaping their lives. And states should ensure that age-appropriate mechanisms are in place for children's views to be heard regularly at all stages of the environmental decision-making process for legislation, policies, regulations, et cetera, et cetera. I guess there is a ways to go, as they say. Last week, I attended COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh. On one side of the convention center, in the green zone, there were the negotiating teams and the politicians. You could call it the geriatric wing. On the other side, the rest of the world and so many young people and children making their voices heard. At first glance, you probably have the same reaction I had. What a disconnect. Are we ever going to get things done if we're disconnected? But there's hope, because I do think children's voices are breaking through, and ultimately children and young people's voices will be heard at the negotiating table. More and more adults get it and are sincere in their efforts to open up the system and include children in a meaningful decision-making capacity. I am convinced that UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is on board. He has said that he would like his granddaughters to know that he did everything he could to save the planet. So congratulations for the letter you are sending to the Secretary General. It is ammunition for him to have it and to be able to rely on your input. It is the right tone and the right move. So once again, happy World Children's Day 2022. And I wish you all the best, everyone out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Jashish, over to you.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much, Splendor. Okay, and now everyone, I would like to add up something about COVID-19 initiative for those who have been joining us for the first time. As COVID-19 is a diversified network of children and young people across all over the world that helps the younger generation to learn more from their experiences. And this initiative also brings children, young people, child rights activists, and other different stakeholders, including the private sectors, together to amplify the voices of children in the decision-making of the government. And this year, we are celebrating the World's Children's Day with the theme Equality and Inclusion for Every Child. We as a child rights community want to stand up for the more equal and inclusive world for every child. And we want your help to do this. Therefore, we are here to celebrate special occasion with you all. This celebration includes 2 panel discussions and concluding remarks. We have different intergenerational panelists who are brilliant in each segments, who will be sharing their insights, experiences, and challenges, and also solution to the children's leadership and meaningful participation with an emphasis on climate crisis. And we will also be sharing our open letter to the UN Secretary General as a part of our concluding remark. And also now I will be moving on to the first intergenerational panel discussion. This panel discussion panelists will be sharing their experiences and insights regarding the barriers to children's leadership and meaningful participation, with an emphasis on the climate crisis to you all. So I'd like to introduce the panelists of this panel. First, we have Leona, a COVID-19 child advisor from South Africa. She is a member of Youth Advisory Panel at United Nations Population Fund at South Africa. She is also a menstrual health activist. And secondly, we have Ali from Pakistan. He is a 19-year-old peer mentor of COVID-19, who is also a child rights advocate and a member of Human Rights Children and Young Task. He writes on the issues related to children. Yeah, similarly, and we also have Benson, the African regional coordinator for the International Young Catholic Students. He has experiences spanning over 10 years working on children and youth across 34 different countries. He's also passionate about providing formation and promoting children and youth engaging in the local related by mobilizing the act against exclusion, poverty, and injustice of the world. And you can also all of you can also use the Q&A function to drop a question to the panelists during the discussion. So with that said, I would like to pass the floor to the brilliant panelists Ali, Leona, and Benson. Over to you, all of you three.
Thank you so much for that. Greetings, everyone. My name is Leona, and I'll be the first on this panel. Where do I begin? I'm a 17-year-old residing in South Africa. I am a menstrual health activist with a special focus on trying to resolve the menstrual health crisis in Southern Africa in a way that is environmentally friendly for everyone. Today, my panel members and I will be discussing or sharing our personal experiences in regards to what issues, what challenges have we faced in our attempts to fight the climate crisis. With regards to the climate crisis, an issue that most of us as children and youth are tackling, it is cooperation from different adult stakeholders. Our biggest challenge is carrying the effects of the climate crisis on our own. With this point, I intend to emphasize the importance of stakeholders cooperating with us. We are young, yes, we understand that, but one of the challenges that we have faced today is not being able to really work with all the stakeholders due to lack of cooperation. As young climate change activists, we are fighting for real change. However, decisions are being made without us. This ends up impacting our work. So we need to be consulted. Nothing for us without us. We understand that we are young, but in us being young, we do not want to be deterred by our age, and we intend on being consulted and really being included in decision making when it comes to climate change. Because in most cases, we find that as young people, when we go out there, we want to advocate, we want to lobby other young people in also gearing them up and making sure that they have the right resources and skills to fight climate change. We do not have any support. Even if we do have support in some cases, it is limited, or our work ends up being limited, meaning that we're not being told what to address and how. Unfortunately, as young activists, that is not how we want to work. One of the biggest barriers to our meaningful participation as child and youth leaders is the lack of spaces allowing us to meaningfully participate. As young people, we need the spaces to take up. What would we take up if there were no spaces? In order for us to effectively lead as young people and meaningfully participate, we need all the stakeholders to create the spaces for us in order for our opinions to be taken seriously. As young people, we need these spaces. They are crucial because without the spaces, we'll not be able to make our voices heard. A personal experience I've had whilst trying to fight climate change as a menstrual health activist was when I tried to start up a community impact project, which was based on trying to first tackle the climate crisis in my area. I found during this time that there's a lack of education. We do not have the resources as young people, so we cannot educate those that we represent. Please work with us. As young people, we strongly believe that we are the ones we've been waiting for. We might not have started the climate crisis, but we are going to end it with you. Thank you. I'd like to pass it over to Ali. Thank you, everyone.
Ali, you're muted if you're seeking to speak.
Hello, everyone. This is Ali Hassan, 19 years old, from Pakistan. I'm a child rights passionate activist. and climate rights activists. So, as Leona has talked most of the things, I have nothing too much to say, but I will be sharing some of my personal experiences with you, that how I started as a child rights activist and how I turned to climate activist. And during my journey, what were the challenges to me as a child rights activist? So I started in 2019 as a child rights activist. My work was mostly focused on doing about rights of children like education, violence, health, etc. But during my mid-work, I realized that all these things are related to the present time of the children, and the thing we are neglecting is the future aspect and the future for the children climate, and no is giving attention to it. So why not dissident climate change? But during these times, I realized that working for climate crisis and climate change is not an easy task, and the challenges you face or I can say that I faced in converting from child rights activist to climate activist, that in my society or in my area, there was no acceptability of such team. Like, they were saying that there are many more problems than how about what are the reasons you are coming toward this area, and what it was a kind of no acceptability of this issue. Secondly, there was lack of platform to raise the climate issue, like the other aspects like education, health, or violence. But on the climate crisis, there was no proper platform which can be reached out or accessed. Besides that, other issues I faced was the lack of resources. If I had some ideas, there were no resources for me to work on climate crisis. And besides that, there was no proper guidance or motivation to work on climate. But beside this, all the work I did or all the achievement I made was because of my individual work and my own passion. So these are the challenges which can a child activist or climate to start up their work, and we need to work on these the challenges so that we can do a better platform from them. From here, I will pass it on to Benson.
Thank you very much. It's very good to be here, and it's quite interesting to be hearing the views of the young people as they are working towards climate change. And it's also something of note to say that young people don't have spaces. Young people feel they are being left out, but actually participation of young people is a right, and would like to start from that perspective that child participation is a right, and the Convention of Children's Rights clearly stipulates that children have to participate and they have to be included in everything that matters to them. So by not having spaces to participate, it's actually threatening the right for them to participate. And if we look at climate change, the children are the ones that are disproportionately affected by the impacts, but unfortunately their voices are not found in the processes that matter. I'm sure Professor Philip mentioned something about his recent experience at COPE. We need the voices of young people to be in those spaces. So I'm going to look at some of the systemic challenges that impede young people from participating effectively. And this comes from the experience and engagement we've had with the young people across the various countries that I work in. So if you look at training and the education, there's a lot of deficiencies in that area. The submissions here we're talking about, we don't get to know, we are not taught, we don't know what to do. This comes from our education system. We need to have quality transformative education systems that talk about climate change, that equip the young people with the information that they need to be able to engage in climate change. So if young people are equipped and engaged with, and are equipped with the knowledge and learning about the causes, the impacts, it supports adapting to climate change and equips them. So we did a SNAP research in some of the countries that we work in, and the responses of young people in terms of in terms of education, they were saying there's very little taught about climate change at school, and it is not in depth, and it is just on the surface. We don't have any information that is relevant or engaging. So it's just happening. So it's ticking a box. So we need to transform and have quality transformative education. The other thing which is also contributing to young people not being able to participate is the exclusion in policy processes. This was mentioned as well, and it's very, very of concern when young people, children are not found in these processes that really matter to them. So evidently, children are absent in key policy processes. If you look at the UNFCCC, the work streams, the decisions, and all the negotiations, the children's representation is very, very little. And policy making spaces, they are not child friendly to be able to accommodate the children to come in and to be able to speak their voices out. Yet it is a right for them to be heard. It is a right for them to participate. And there's limited child friendly information on climate change. And the documents, they are still very, very big, and they only need technocrats to be able to understand them. These documents need to be broken down. With these kind of documents, young people, children are not able to engage because they don't have information. There was a quick SNAP survey done, I think it was by Plan International, where they did survey for 1,800 children in 37 countries, and 91% of the children say it's difficult for them to participate in climate change decisions. And 49% say they lack information and where to find the information. And some even say they lack awareness that young people could even participate. So this is a very sorry state when young people think that they're not supposed to participate. So this speaks to the reason why we don't have much of national climate policies that respond to the child's needs. The last thing I'd like to mention is the political and institutional deficiencies. We have a lot of political and institutional deficiencies which actually impede and hamper children to participate, despite the evidence that they suffer the severe consequences of climate change. The international frameworks ignore, largely to a large extent, ignore the children's right to be heard and their best interests. So from that level, we already see that the political will, the political deficiencies are actually contributing to young people not being able to participate. So these are some of the issues that I wanted to share with you in terms of the areas or the structural deficiencies that are contributing to young people not participating. So there's nothing for the children without the children themselves. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Leona, Ali, and Benson very much for your wonderful insights and experiences. We all can agree that children's leadership and meaningful participation does contribute a lot to reduce climate-related problems. So with that said, I would like to invite Laura to lead us to the Q&A round for this panel. Over to you, Laura.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. So much passion, excitement, and critical insights. We're going to open the floor to questions. If anyone has any and would like to unmute yourself, let us know, or you can put it in the chat. We have one that was asking us sort of how many children are involved. And I think that might be a tricky question to answer, but I don't know if any of the panelists have reflections on how many young people are involved in some of the movements that they've been a part of.
Thank you. Maybe I could respond to that. Well, it's not going to be easy to give a ballpark number to say how many are involved, because there are a lot of initiatives that happen around. But then what is key to note is that children want to participate. That is one thing that we've noted. Children do want to participate in initiatives, but there are a lot of things that are impeding them from participating. One of them being lack of information. So if they're not informed about climate change, they don't know issues around climate change, their participation becomes limited. So it now takes a lot of motivation, a lot of encouragement, but then it would have been easier with information to make them and to agitate them to want to participate.
Great, thank you. I have a question for both Leona and Ali. As you know, Benson spoke about the policy spaces and kind of the need to create change there. And and as we all know, with the COVID-19 team here and many other brilliant children, young people we work with, it's people are able and keen, and it's often adults that sometimes, and the systems that can cause barriers. What would be your recommendations to strengthen policy spaces? What do you think is needed to more effectively involve children and young people for intergenerational dialogue? And that's open to Ali and Leona or any of the other COVID-19 young people. If you want to jump in, you're welcome to answer that too. Go ahead, Ali.
Hello, Laura. To answer your question, the suggestion I would like to give is like, now children are getting the right to participate. Like, it's not about only listening to their opinion, like their suggestions and their recommendations must be implemented practically. So like sometimes the suggestions are taken into the policies, but the practical implementation lags behind. So the most important thing is implementation of their policies. And the second thing, to strengthen their policies of the recommendation for that can be like, the policies are just are not to be only meant to be discussed and like reviewed by the adult elites, but there should be equal participation given to the children, so that they can express their views completely. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ali. Leona, did you want to add anything at all? No need to as well, but if you'd like to. I think, Leona, you're muted, but perhaps I'll ask the next question in the chat, and if you want to jump in, you're welcome. The next question is, how can I make people feel concerned about climate change and other crises when they don't really seem to care too much? And that's open to any of the panelists.
Hey Laura, can I take this? How
Yes,
can you
please.
make people concerned when they don't seem to care much about it? It happens. I've faced this a lot actually. The thing is, I always say it's about doing your part. You just do your simple part. Of course, the people will say we have to find more food. It's more important than worrying about clouds. Someone actually said this to me. Someone actually told me we'd rather find food for today than care about the environment and all the rest. But it's all about doing your part. I figured out, I actually found out that you can influence change by doing. People like following. People don't like starting, but they like following. As soon as you start your initiative, as soon as you actually start making a difference, you will get support. Those same people who are opposing you will actually come and support you. So the simple way to overcome this is to, first of all, do your part. Start taking those initiatives. Start raising awareness. Start advising even your small brothers and siblings. Charity starts at home. Start with your family members. Start making them climate friendly. Start making your house a greenhouse. Start doing your part. It's just as simple as that. You first of all do your part, and if people see that it's working and you're actually making a positive difference, they will also follow. Most communities are like that. They tend to be negative, but just do your part. That's all I can say on the matter. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Brian, for your answer to the question. In the nature of time, maybe if one more person has any response, and then we'll pass it over to Purnima, who will introduce the second panel. All right, well, perhaps if others want to jump in the chat, any further detail, and there's more questions in the chat, we'll seek to respond there too. So Purnima, over to you.
Thank you for reading the question and answer part, Laura. We are now moving to the second intergenerational panel discussion. The panelists will share about what urgent are needed to support children's leadership and meaningful participation with an emphasis on the climate crisis. I would like to introduce all the panelists on this panel. We have Dhruv, a COVID-19 advisor, child advisor from India. He is a child rights and climate justice advocate who believes in awareness through art. Similarly, we have Osis, a 15-year-old child rights and human rights activist from Nepal. He is a child advisor at COVID-19 who is working nationally in Nepal to bring a revolution in the field of child rights. In the same way, we have Christy, International Education for Sustainable Development Manager at the Trust for Sustainable Living, a UK-based charity working with young people and educators in 80 countries to achieve a world where everyone is educated and empowered to achieve a sustainable future. Lastly, but not the least, we have Sirion, 15-year-old child rights and climate activist, also a COVID-19 child advisor from Kenya. He is a content creator from NGOs and teaches at local schools. She is also the youngest person to be an executive committee for MUN conference. I would like to pass the floor to our panelists, Dhruv, Osis, Christy, and Sirion. Over to you, four of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Purnima, for that splendid bio. I am Dhruv Bhatt, and building on my favorite theme of awareness through art, I would like to begin this conversation with a few lines from a poem, The Recipe for a Perfect Climate Disaster. 20 ounces of broken houses, a forest fires, crumbling glasses, a drizzle of poisoned farms and rivers, empty wells and broken glasses, 4 full cups of raging seas, of cramped bodies and rickety boats, of babies nestled in laundry baskets, set to sail in search of shores, a world that turns from fog to fall, from droughts to floods to empty calls, of change, of dreams, of a world we deserve, of hopes and lives we sought to preserve. As harsh as these words sound, they are the realities of children in the global south. The climate crisis, as wonderfully illuminated by previous sets of speakers, is very much a child rights issue. Simply put, there cannot be climate justice without the involvement and upliftment of children. The question that remains, however, is how can we change this? How can children be engaged in a meaningful, sustained manner so that climate action becomes part of their values? To that, I would say there is no one simple answer. Communities around the world are diverse. So the most logical way to support children is to give them access to opportunities, grants, internships, and climate literacy programs. After all, they, not us, should spearhead solutions most suitable for their local communities. This is child empowerment at its best. Here at COVID-19, a truly global group of child advisors and peer mentors set an example to follow. Child-led events such as this one represent the skills and potential that children bring to the table. One of the projects that we have been working on is a climate resource list, which consolidates various climate opportunities for children to access and work on in their communities. To highlight a few programs from our list, the FXP Climate Advocates Program is a safe virtual community for young people to interact with allied adults and work on local solutions for their own communities. The Future Blue Fellowship grants funds water-related projects by young changemakers. It also provides access to a green alumni network and organizations further supporting initiatives all around the world. Creative writing competitions such as the Trust for Sustainable Living International Essay and Debate Competition, which I'm sure Kirsty would really elaborate on, and Bowseed Ocean Awareness Contests approach climate literacy from unconventional angles, making climate education engaging and exciting. Achieving the Herculean task of international child leadership requires more representation of children at COI, COP, and LANGO. We need more Indigenous children, more proud LGBTQI+ children, more religious child-led organizations, and definitely more voices from the Global South, bringing louder and louder until we are heard. We need podiums and tables, pens and papers, allied adults, and informed children. We need justice, we need rights, and we need them now. Thank you, and now I will pass the mic to my wonderful peer, Oshish.
Thank you, Dhruv. I'd like to tell Christian to share my slides. Thank you, Christian, for that. Humans must leave Earth within 6. This is a famous line said by late Stephen Hawking. He said that due to human activities, the Earth will no longer be safe for human beings after 600 years. Hello, everyone. My name is Oshish Nirola. First of all, I want to welcome you all to our program. And I'm a child rights and human rights activist from Nepal. I'm 15 years old and will be serving society for many more years. Today, I will be explaining to you about the urgent actions necessary for the meaningful participation of children giving emphasis to the climate crisis. Kristen, please next slide. Okay, first, what is climate crisis? Past speakers explained to you about the introduction of climate crisis, and I won't be wasting more time on that, but I will show you my opinion. I feel like climate crisis is a really important topic to discuss. It is collectively destroying our home, that is Earth. Climate crisis is caused by many ways, like through pollutions, through plastics, and many more things. Kristen, I would like to request to send exchange the slides. Okay, first let us play a game for recreation, as we all are just listening and want something more interactive. So it's a quiz game. So you will see a poll just on the screen after I show you the question. So you can answer it there. If you want to elaborate more, then you have the chat option open for you. Kristen, next slide. Okay, my first question is this good? Okay, you have the poll just right in front of your screen, so you can answer it there. Okay, are these good for the environment? Okay, as I can see, a lot of you are answering no, and it's no. As the majority says, it's obviously no, because these things causes climate change, and it is really bad for the environment. Like if you are talking about plastics, they take 1,000 to 10,000 years to decompose, and that is really harmful for the environment. About deforestation, cutting down trees will obviously help in climate change. Breeding and industry are also the prime causes of climate change. Christian, more next slide. Okay, my second question is, which energy is bad for the environment? Electrical energy, solar energy, fossil fuel, or wind energy? So you have the poll section just in front of your screen. You can answer it there. Obviously, fossil fuels are really bad for the environment because when we are mining fossil fuels, they take a lot of energy and resources, which will obviously harm the environment. And if you know that, if in burning fossil fuel, it emits carbon, which is also very bad for the environment. So can you move it to next slide, Christian? Okay, if you had a choice of either using plastic bags or paper bags, what would you choose? So the obvious answer is paper bag, because paper bags can be recycled. And about plastic bags, some of them are recyclable, but in a research, it is found that plastic, as I said earlier, takes 1,000 to 10,000 years to decompose. So it is really bad for the environment and causes climate change. Christian, next slide. Okay, which gas causes climate change? First one is chlorofluorocarbon, carbon dioxide, oxygen, and nitrogen. There are two right answers for this. So first one is carbon dioxide, and another one is chlorofluorocarbon, also known as chlorine, fluorine, and carbon, because both of them are really harmful for the environment, as they are greenhouse gases and they trap heat inside the earth and do not let it escape. And they also breach ozone layer. So Christian, next slide. Okay, which one is not environment friendly? Proper management of waste and use of things that can be recycled, and industries which produces harmful gases, and using renewable source of energy. So obviously, the industries which produce harmful gases are bad for the environment, as it causes climate change. I talked about carbon dioxide and chlorine, fluorine, carbon earlier in my presentation, and as I said, it is really bad for the environment. It pollutes the environment, and it is bad for climate change too. Christian, can you move it to next slide? Okay, now let me talk about the urgent actions. Climate change is a major problem in our world. People all around the globe are working on the side to improve the devastating issues of climate change. Like in 1987, through Montreal Protocol, 197 countries came up to a conclusion of never using CFC and fix the problem of ozone layer. Now it's time to do the same for climate crisis. And the participation of children is a must in these programs. So children should be given more priority in such events and organizations. Major points that are necessary for the meaningful participation of children are programs which gives opportunities to children, like this one. These kinds of program gives opportunities to children to show their words, to express their words, express their feelings into words, and send the world their message that what they can do, how they can do. And nowadays children are more educated than before, so they will lead the future generation. Question, next slide. Resources related to climate crisis should be available to all children. We are also working on a page where we can find resources, videos, and information related to climate change, which is called resource list. It includes climate websites, magazines, podcasts, etc., which will help in finding enough resources for a child who is learning about the climate crisis, problems related to that, and sustainable solutions. More about this was discussed by Dhruv in his presentation. Kristen, next slide. Children are not taken as a priority, but as a formality. So different organizations and events like COP, COI, Yongo should reserve special seats for children in their organizations so that optimum child participation can be obtained in the field of climate crisis. Because as Brian says, children are not only tomorrow's future, they are also today's present. I also think that there should be certain reservation of seats at these events as child voices should be heard. Kristen, next slide. Training to children as they will be taking responsibility of leadership in climate crisis related programs. This could be both virtual training or physical training. Another medium of training will be in school, where every child should learn about the consequences of climate crisis in their respective groups. Kristen, next slide. Okay, thank you so much for listening my views and opinions and for your precious time. Now I want to pass it to Christy.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. First of all, thank you for the invitation to be part of this amazing panel and be surrounded by such inspiring young people. As the adult on the panel, or the over 35, I should say, rather than adult. It's fantastic to be here and be representing and be surrounded by young people. So the Trust for Sustainable Living is an education charity based in the United Kingdom, but we work globally with children in 80 countries around the world, around 10,000 children, and over 2,000 educators over the last 12 years. And we aim to provide opportunities for young people and educators to engage with sustainability and climate related challenges. So exploring these global sustainability challenges and local sustainability challenges as well, on topics such as the climate crisis, exploring green jobs, protecting biodiversity, and also thinking about who is responsible for addressing and acting on these challenges as well. So as Drew very kindly mentioned, we have different opportunities for young people to engage, such as our International Schools Essay Competition, which is available for students under the age of 18 to explore sustainability challenges and share their thoughts and ideas. Our video competitions as well also encourage teachers and adults to get involved and share their views on how young people can be better supported. We organise online education summits, which aim to connect young people with decision makers. So with for example, members of UNEP, UNFCCC, the UNCBD, the UNCCD, and then also youth organisations like Gibbon and Yungo as well. Also thinking about how we can connect them with scientists and with educators. So for example, through the Sustainability Research and Innovation Congress, which Drew very kindly joined us on a panel earlier this year to share young people's views with scientists, with innovators and with industry as well. So I think as organisations, as adults, as charities, as businesses, as leaders, there are lots of ways that we can help young people, and thinking about supporting schools and educators is really important. Sustainability and climate change aren't on the national curriculum for a lot of countries, so perhaps being able to provide better support to educators to help them to teach sustainability issues to young people, and also help them to empower young people to have a voice on sustainability and climate related challenges is really important. That's something that TSL is working through in the UK by helping to support part of a group that are advising the UK government on the Department for Education strategy on climate change and sustainability. And we're working to support the teachers in schools around the world as well to help them get sustainability on their curriculums. Creating opportunities for engagement for young people as well, between young people and other stakeholders. So creating opportunities for people to speak directly to business leaders, to speak to scientists, to better understand the problems and share their solutions, such as having youth councils, youth advisory panels is a great way to do that as well. Engaging schools with local businesses within their communities so that knowledge can be shared in both directions, from businesses and sustainability leaders through to young people, and then from young people up to businesses and sustainability leaders and governments as well. Also sharing positive examples. Young people around the world are having such transformative action and creating so much power and movement. So being able to share those opportunities. So for example, lots of the schools that we work with, their eco committees are changing their school policies and practices to move away from single-use plastics, to move to renewable energies, to reduce their carbon emissions within the school, to try and be as net zero as they possibly can. And that's being driven by young people. Those young people are pestering their teachers, they're pestering their governors, their boards of trustees to say, this is what we want, it's important to us as young people, and it's important to our rights as well. So young people are able to make those changes. And if you do it in your school, then if you work with other schools as well, then perhaps bigger communities are able to make broader changes. Also, I think as well, it's important to make it relevant and also make sustainability and climate change local so that it's not overwhelming for young people. This is a global crisis. It's going to require global action and global solutions, but it can be really overwhelming for young people. So trying to make it relevant to them so that it doesn't feel too overwhelming, so they can understand the steps and the actions that they personally can take wherever around the world they are that can help to contribute to a solution towards the climate crisis, rather than it being such a big problem that they feel overwhelmed. So engaging with other young people through organisations such as COVID Under 19 and Gibbon and Youngo, to share all of these voices together, to share stories of positivity and make it relevant to your local areas, are, I think, different ways that young people can be supported by businesses, charities, adults around the world to try and take positive steps for climate change and for action as well. So wonderful. I would love to hand over to Sirun to finish us off.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. I hope you can hear me. Can someone just let me know? Okay, thank you. So sorry. If there's any background noise, I am in school at the moment and I've just secluded a corner to take this call. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining in today. My name is Sirun and I will be the last speaker in this panel today. Spreading awareness is not a hippie thing. It is a survival thing. Today, I'm here as a wake-up call for you. The earth is dying and it is upon you to accept it. Now, before I begin, I'd like to thank Christy, Dhruv, and Ashish for those wonderful speeches that they gave. I truly believe it has made an impact upon us. To begin with, the first thing I'd like to talk about is climate change. Climate change is a problem we humans created, and we need to solve it. So pull up your socks and sharpen your voices, because this is your moment to make a change. I'm not telling you to wake up tomorrow and be the next Greta Thunberg, although I know each and everyone in this call today has the potential to be. I am just saying, take a small step, make a small difference, and I promise it will make a more significant impact than doing nothing. One thing I'd like to reinstate is something that Dhruv mentioned earlier about the resources list that we are working on. That list will be available to the public soon, and it will be filled with opportunities and ideas on how you can solve this problem as a young person. So keep your eye out for that on our social media pages. Before I move on to what I have to say, I'd also like to mention what Ashish said. We all know that fossil fuels are bad for the environment. Or if you didn't, we do know now. So I'm not telling you to cut it out completely from your life, because we all know that is not possible in today's modern world. All I'm saying is reduce the use. Try using public transportation once in a while. Try carpooling with your friends to school. I promise it will make a difference eventually. Or you can use a reusable tin once in a while rather than packing your lunch in a plastic bag or a paper bag. If you have to use plastic bags, then reuse it. You can reuse it in so many ways. Crank up your creativity, provoke your thinking. I promise you, there's this artist within all of us. Now, coming to the main part for my speech, I promise it's short. When we are young, they assume we know nothing. But in the end, we are the future. We are the next leaders, and no one can take it away from us. But what are we doing to prepare for that future? Why are we leaving it up to fate? So to that, I'm going to say the most cliche thing ever. Be the change you want to see. Take initiative. Grasp the opportunities for yourself. I was told to include an anecdote in my speech today. So here it is, and I hope it inspires you. So I live in Kenya, which is a newly economically developed country. So opportunities for young in relation to climate change is really hard to get, especially for someone like us, all of us. who are inexperienced, still in high school with no previous experiences. Eventually, I quit waiting around and waiting for opportunities to come knocking at my door. I created one. During the summer holidays, my school library was open. So I decided to go help over there. It was nothing. I had to come in for a couple of hours and sort out papers. It was nothing, but it counted as an internship. It gave me credit for being a student leader, and it helped the environment because we sorted out stuff that can be donated rather than recycled or thrown away. So from the story, what I want you to take away is success doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who take action. So that was the end of my speech. But one thing I'd like to say is all of us who are in this call today, we are already a step towards being student leaders. All of us took the initiative, took the time to research about this conference, and we made it a point to come. That is a step towards the right direction. So kudos to everyone who's here today, and I wish you all the best, because you, my friends, are here for tomorrow, and you, my friends, can make the difference. Thank you. Have a good evening. I'd like to give the floor to Purnima.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your wonderful presentation. I was just stunned by informative points and as an interactive communication and conversation. Dhruv poem, Silence speech, and OC's quiz made the event more interesting and enlightening. Thank you, Kishti, for your mesmerizing words. I'm just loving this conversation. It's so dynamic and full of information. Thank you again. Now, I would like to invite Splendor to lead us to the question and answer round for this panel. Over to Splendor.
Thank you, Purnima. Dhruv, Arsars, Christy, and Saron. Thank you so much. In fact, honestly, as I was listening to what you guys we are just saying, I myself, I felt inspired, and I know, and I believe, no doubt, other people listening to us are also inspired by everything to take action. So now, I have been seeing some wonderful responses on the Q&A. So please feel free to ask our wonderful panelists any question that that has been burning in your heart. You want to know, So please feel free to ask them. Use the Q&A function, and we'll respond to you immediately. So I could see the first one. Okay, how can I make people feel concerned about climate change and other crises? Okay, I think we've taken that one. Please keep putting in your questions on the Q&A section. So now I have this question. I myself, I want to, I'm kind of curious to know about this. The first question I have for you all is, so let's say I'm a young person. I know everything about, or let's say I know little about climate change, and I want to take action. So now, what advice will you give to people like me, right? I already know that climate change is a very big problem. So how do I start taking action? Where do I start from? So that's my question to you. So any of you could go.
Well, if I were to answer it, is that okay?
Yeah,
and then
sure.
I'll give to Ashish. So Splendor, the first thing I'd like to tell you is, well done. You're moving in the right direction by educating yourself and knowing exactly what you want to do. Where you can start is at home. So you can start with small steps, as I mentioned in my speech before. You can show the world that you are changing, and soon enough, it will become a trend. You do it, your friends, your family does it, your friends do it. You can see that progression. So eventually, everyone will chime in. And don't wait for everyone to join in or for someone else to do it. You start, because you are the one who knows about it. You are the one who wants to take action. So that will be my advice for you. Ashish, if you want to chime in.
So my answer was similar to Siron's answer, that if you want to change the world, first change yourselves. So it is the first move that you would like to do. So in the case of climate crisis, so if you are educated about climate crisis, then start doing things that you can do now. And slowly, you influence your family, your friends, and the whole community to be more informative, knowledgeable about climate crisis, and we could solve this problem as soon as possible. Thank you. I would like to pass it to Christy.
Great, thank you. I think another thing you can do is not underestimate the impact that you can have. So talk to your teachers, talk to the people at your school to say that you're interested to learn more about these things, and you think the school should have some responsibility in doing that and helping you to learn about these things. Also, look around your local community, see if there are other groups of young people that are already working on these projects or learning about sustainability and climate change, to see if you can get involved with them. Because I think for a lot of people, particularly young people, they often feel quite isolated and don't know what they can do. So connecting with other young people through online groups or through physical groups in your community is a great way to feel empowered. And if there's lots of voices of young people working together, then communities, businesses, governments have to take more, more time to listen to those. So adding your voice to many other young voices through local community groups or through online young people groups is a great way that you can take action as well. But also not being afraid to, as the other panelists said, make changes at home, pester your parents, pester your friends, pester your school, and tell them that this is a really important issue to you, and that you need to be learning more about it, and it needs to become a more of a visible thing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for that wonderful response. I hope everyone out there, you are, you're feeling so excited as I am, because this discussion has been going smoothly, and we've been learning, we've been unlearning, and we've been relearning. Because climate change, we all know, is not something to joke about. It's something that we all should take seriously. We all should take action now. So please keep dropping in your question in the Q&A section, and so that we could take that. I don't know, Ponema, do you have any question for our panelists?
No, I don't have. You can pass over.
Okay, all right. So yeah, so before I pass the ball over, I just want to remind everyone to feel free to follow us on Facebook or across our social media handles, because there are lots and lots of information that will be coming your way very soon. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at COVID-19. Thank you so much, everyone. And to quickly, before we round everything up, I would like to introduce Laura. Laura, please, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you very much. So I'm going to pass it to our wonderful colleagues who will do a concluding remarks. So over to you, Amrit and Brian. And first, I would just like to highlight that Amrit and Brian are long-standing members of the COVID-19 team. Amrit is a COVID-19 peer mentor and a child rights activist from Nepal. He's a Child Club graduate and currently works as the facilitator for child-friendly local governance. Brian is a 17-year-old Kenyan boy who is very passionate in giving children a voice to express their concerns and share their ideas on issues affecting them. He's also a passionate climate change activist who is partnering up with other change makers to change the world together. So over to you both for the opening letter and closing remarks. So Amrit or Brian, whoever wants to jump in, feel free.
Thank you so much, Lara. And yeah, thank you so much, wonderful intergenerational moderator. You have been moderating this event so great. I'm so much fascinated, and I'm so excited, full of energy with all of your energies. And without any further ado, I would like to go to the main part of the event, that is the open letter statement. Firstly, I'd like to introduce myself again. Hello, everyone. Namaskar. My name is Amrit Rizal, and I'm from Nepal. I'm really feeling glad to be back in the Children's Day event this year also. Last year in 2021, as a part of intergenerational panelists in our dynamic Children's Day event of COVID-19, we, children and young people, have envisioned such a world where children's rights were centered and child participation would be the topic of interest and priority to the United Nations system. A lot of changes have been seen, and we really appreciate the hard works of the system in mainstreaming the children, but still, children are invisible and ignored in some discussions. Today, we are here to grab the attention of children, young people, activists, adult allies, governments, and more importantly, the United Nations Secretary General to take urgent action for child participation in all the discussion that really affects the life of children. Happy Children's Day to all of you. This Children's Day, we are presenting an open letter to United Nations Secretary General. Through the letter, we are trying to echo the unheard, unseen, and unexplained barriers to meaningful child participation. With all of your permission, I would like to read the statement on the behalf of COVID-19 Initiative. To His Excellency Antonio Guterres, United Nations Headquarters, New York, 18 November 2022. Dear Secretary General, we who borrow the earth from our children are already halfway through the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. For the sake of present and future generation, we must be mindful that our challenges are interconnected and can only be addressed through strong intergenerational partnership. As a global community of children and young people and adult allies working together in COVID-19 Initiative, we feel bound to raise our concern that the UN is talking about the future, but children are often not part of these discussions. Children in their full diversity comprise 1/3 of the world's population, with an estimated 1.3 billion more expected to join our planet by 2030. Therefore, it is of crucial importance to consider childhood and children's rights as defining characteristic of future generation. Children around the world have already risen to the challenge. This includes the 4 million children who in 2019 protested peacefully and advocated for children's rights in the context of the climate crisis. Children have contributed to global awareness about the climate crisis by encouraging climate literacy, lobbying for climate-oriented curricula in school, and working to establish safe spaces for meaningful child participation. This has often been particularly challenging for children already facing the greatest adversity, including those in situation of poverty, violence, abuse, and exploitation. Children on the move, children in contact with justice system, and children with chronic health conditions. Children have a critical role to play in shaping an equitable and just future for current and future generation. This is a familiar message heard already in the United Nations mainstreaming children's rights across the United system. A number of Human Rights Council resolution and the 2021 joint statement by the heads of the UN entities. Mr. Secretary General, your work as leader of the United Nations has reiterated that human rights are key to resolving the long-term social and political consequences of the global COVID-19 pandemic. Your report, Our Common Agenda, speaks of a new social contrast anchored in human rights to build back better after COVID. Also, in 2021, you highlighted the lack of a system-wide approach to the child rights in the United Nations. We have also read here about your personal commitments to consider children's view about the future. Despite these points, we observe that in many areas of our common agenda, children are still invisible. There is no mention of children in either of the resolution that set in motion the key components of the agenda. The resolution on the statement, establishment of a UN office, and the resolution and the modalities of the Summit of the Future. Children's invisibility in this flagship initiative suggests that the commitments to mainstream children's rights across the UN are quickly falling off the radar. These silences suggest children's specific and distinct needs and rights are being excluded from thinking about the future. Failing to include children will not only compromise children's right to be heard, as enshrined in Article 12 of United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, but undermine other rights in the convention and the SDGs as well. Some rights will end up being ignored or even taken away. Shouldn't the United Nations and the international community consider children as stakeholders and give them serious consideration in all conversations about the future and present generation? We would have liked to request the amendment of the above General Assembly resolution to include children. However, we prefer to take note of this instance of silence and instead use our energies to look forward. Therefore, we, the signatories of this letter, call upon you as Secretary General to ensure that children are duly and explicitly mentioned and included in all subsequent documentations and processes related to our common agenda, including the United Nations Youth Office, the Summit of the Future, and the Digital Compact. Every aspect of the agenda affects children of today and tomorrow, and we demand inclusive participation of children in all of them. We believe that this will help governments meet their human rights promises and set an example at the highest level to the UN member states. At our level, through networks of children and young people supported by civil society organizations, we will continue to work together our vision of a world where children's human rights are respected, protected, and fulfilled. A world where governments campaign children's rights, human rights, and children are systematically provided with space to have their voices heard and be given due weight. At COVID-19, we continue to strive to link global and local child rights-based and child-led advocacy to inspire regional, national, international, and global movements of children who are empowered to claim their rights and hold adults accountable to them. With our adult allies, we will continue to co-create child-friendly resources with children as a cornerstone of meaningful intergenerational participation in decision-making for current and future generation. Today, we mark the occasion of International Children's Day 2022. We invite you, Honorable Secretary General, to join our adult allies in standing alongside children and young people who seek transformative change. We look forward to your response. Sincerely yours, the COVID-19 Initiative. This statement was co-authored by children, young people, and adults involved in COVID-19 and endorsed by Child Fund Alliance, Child Rights Coalition Asia, Child Rights Connect, Child Rights International Network, CIVI Nepal, the Institute for Inspiring Children's Future, the International Institute for Child Rights and Development, International Young Catholic Student, Lakshadweep, Learning for Wellbeing Foundation, Mototo News, Nepal Youth Network for Sustainable Development, Tere Des Home International Federation, the Trust for Sustainable Living, Voice of Children Nepal. Thank you for listening to me. Over to the moderator.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that inspiring letter. We're going to pass it back to Brian before we close.
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you. It was a nice event. I was glad to be part of it. Thank you, Amrit, for taking over. We were supposed to read the open letter with Amrit, but there was just a power outage at my place. I don't know what happened, but I'm very glad that we were able to join. For my concluding remarks, I'd love to point out that today I was in an event, a pre-event for the World Children's Day, and I got to hear from children. I got to be part of a government-organized World Children's Day apart from last year, and I'm glad to actually mention to everyone out there that there are strides actually being made to inclusivity, especially to children in the Children's Day. I love that one of the people here said, "Nothing for us without us." It's a very important and powerful statement that actually acknowledges that without including children and young people in decisions making, then you're not making those decisions for the young people. Here in Kenya, we have a phrase that says, if you talk about people when they're not in the discussion, it is gossip. So we say whenever we're not involved in the discussions, those people are gossiping, and we cannot officiate any kind of gossip. I did not have much to say other than to appreciate everyone who managed to make this event a success. And I would love to leave you. Oh, wait! I have to give a special mention to Draft. The poem is amazing, and I wonder if we can be allowed to share that out loud. The first poem in your statement, it was amazing. I would love to share that out with the world, with the permission, of course. I will leave you guys with a short statement. Anything for us without us is against us. Thank you, guys. It's been lovely.
Thank you so much, Brian, for your closing remarks. Thank you everyone for joining us for Children Leading the Future, a child-led celebration for World Children's Day. We're so pleased to have you with us, and a huge thank you to our wonderful COVID-19 child activists and peer mentors, the moderators, the panelists, everyone doing communications, all the people behind the scenes, Kristen for your leadership, Januka, one of our peer mentors who's been doing a lot to support everyone across the whole team, getting things organized. There's many people we're probably forgetting to speak about, our partners. Lots of people were involved in making today, and we're just really happy for you all to join us. We encourage you to continue this movement, looking forward for children's rights and for helping to address these critical issues. So thank you all today, and we look forward to connecting with you again soon. Please do follow us on social media channels you've seen in the chat, and wishing you all fabulous celebrations on World Children's Day on Sunday, November 20th, and every day is Children's Day. Thank you all.